What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel where I teach you everything you need to know about accounting, audit, personal finance, the CPA lifestyle, and everything in between. If that sounds awesome to you, make sure to hit that subscribe button below, and welcome to the accounting channel. All right, guys, so today's video, I'm going to be discussing today my experience in transaction advisory or financial due diligence. I know a lot of you have maybe heard of it, maybe you haven't. Today, I kind of want to share my experience. I got a few comments, a few videos I posted ago, essentially asking me kind of what my experience was, how it was, because a lot of, I feel like audit is a really easy transition into transaction advisory. And today I kind of want to go over my experience, what kind of the work is, and what I feel prepared me the most to do the 6-month rotation that I did. And to start off, if there's any people that actually do due diligence, please leave a comment below. I'd love for you guys to help other people in this community. Again, I only did it for 6 months, so my experience is going to be very limited. But in those 6 months, I do feel like I got a good feel for what the work is, how the practice, what you do, and how the skills that I built in audit really early in my career were able to help me transition really easy into financial due diligence. So the first thing I kind of want to talk about is the project work itself. So essentially with financial due diligence, you have a team that's composed usually of a partner, a senior manager, and a senior. Usually what's a little different about financial due diligence that I experienced was that the senior is kind of the staff on the job essentially, and the manager is kind of like the senior. And that's kind of how the dynamic works, because the senior kind of runs the day-to-day. He pulls all the data from the client. He puts together what they call a data room, which is essentially kind of like where all the PBCs, or those are provided by client if you haven't got the audit lingo yet. So he kind of organizes those into, a drive essentially. And then what ends up happening is you work for either, they call it buy side and sell side due diligence. So at buy side, you essentially work for a client that wants to acquire another business, and you prepare a report on the target to essentially say, hey, this is a buy side due diligence report. Or you work for a client that's wanting to sell their business, and you prepare a sell side due diligence report. And these two, and the quality of earnings report is really focused on quality of earnings and working capital. And I'll put a link in the description of this video to give you guys an example of kind of what a quality of earnings report looks like. But in my experience, a lot of the work that I did was very cool. And what I really loved the most is it was kind of like audit, but without the nitty gritty of having to test certain account balances. Obviously, there's certain things you have to get comfortable with and you have to ask management, but what was really cool is I feel like you got to dissect the company more from an operations and finance perspective, which in my opinion is a little bit more sexy. The work itself is, I don't want to say like a little more cool if you're like a finance nerd like me. Like I love that stuff, and I loved analyzing a business and whether it was buy side or sell side. I mean, I worked on actually both, so it was a really good experience. I worked on 2 different deals during my time in transaction advisory, but I thought it was really, really fun. And again, I think what sparked me the most and what I think was cool is that, sometimes in audit, you speak with mostly the controller, but even me, I was, I guess, the senior on the engagement. And what was really cool is that I went to my to what they call a management presentation, and essentially you literally meet like the CEO, the CFO, and they give you it's literally like an 8-hour. It's like an all-day meeting. And I actually got to fly out to the client's business. And we literally sat with the senior management team for a whole day, and they gave us a whole rundown on what the business does, how they make money, what their plans are, and everything they want to do. And I learned so much more about business in general, and using my accounting knowledge to be able to kind of drive more, I guess, financial decisions in a way. Because networking capital is such a critical thing. And you talk about, the executives and their salaries, and kind of you do certain analysis on the business that, in my opinion, just sometimes is a little bit more fun per se. And especially if you know that you kind of want to go more that finance route, I think transaction advisory is such a good place for you to go take your career, because I learned so many different skills that sometimes audit, I feel like you can, how do I explain this? You can be a great auditor and transition very, very easily into financial due diligence. And I guess one thing I kind of want to say, and before you think about making this move, I would highly, highly, highly recommend you stay in audit for at least 2 to 3 years. The reason is because in audit, you learn a lot of the basic fundamentals of debits, credits, and really understanding financial statements. And I don't think this happens until about year 3 when you really start understanding debits and credits, how everything flows into financials. Because when you're in financial due diligence, you're kind of expected to know already how certain things flow. And the stronger accounting background you can have, the more easy transition it's going to be to go into that role. So I would say do at least 2 to 3 years in audit per se, because you're just going to have a really strong technical background in debits and credits, and being able to analyze certain things and the operations of a business and how that impacts the financial statements is such a critical thing, in my opinion, on making you such a good financial due diligence professional. So a lot of you guys are an audit firm. Okay, so if your audit firm offers a rotation, please do that. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you guys how many connections I made, the experience I gained. It was just such a good overall experience for me as a professional, because I feel like I grew so much. And then a lot of the friends that I made in financial due diligence, I'm still friends with them today, and I built so many more connections. And it kind of, as an auditor, you're kind of trained to think in a certain way, and I feel like it gave me a whole other skill set to add to my arsenal. So if your firm offers a rotation program, which I know a lot do, please sign up for it. If you are doing great in audit, I promise you the transition to transaction advisory is going to be a really easy move for you. And in my opinion, I think the best auditors in a class or in a group always make good transaction or financial due diligence people, just because of the sheer fact of they're usually really good at their analytical skills are really good. They're really good at analyzing financial statements, and they understand debits and credits like the back of their hand. That, I cannot stress that enough. Debits and credits, I love them to death, but I'm telling you guys, the more you understand that and the more you can fundamentally understand the basics of accounting, the easier it's going to be if you do want to make that transition into the role. Another thing you need to get really, really good with, and one thing, it's funny, I feel like a lot of auditors sometimes, they aren't the best with Excel. Like, they're pretty good, but when you transition over to transaction advisory or financial due diligence, financial due diligence, when you transition over, it was so crazy to me how they were just a little bit more like finance bro-ish, if that makes any sense. But their Excel skills were just like off the chain. I thought I was really good with Excel or in the sheets, and man, I learned so many different skills about like when, from my manager when I was a senior in due diligence, that I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are like on another level. And I feel like the best auditors, like I said, always easily transition into due diligence because they're usually the most analytical, the best with Excel, they're great at accounting. And my best advice is that get really, 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 really good with Excel. I know I preach this so much on this channel, but get really good with Excel before making that move, because you're going to be expected to analyze certain data. You're going to have to analyze certain things that you have to move really, really quickly, because sometimes what ends up happening a lot with transaction advisory too, and that's kind of the next thing I wanted to talk about, is the work is very cyclical. So when I just went into transaction advisory, there's no more, you don't have busy season anymore. It's not one thing that I guess maybe just fits my personality more. I really like structure in my life, and I like knowing exactly what I'm going to do, what time I'm going to do it, during what time of the month, and everything, and during the year. But in transaction advisory, one thing that you have to know is that it is very, very cyclical. Like, for example, it was a Sunday night, and I literally got an email telling me that I was going to be on my first deal the next day, whereby I didn't really do anything like the week or the week and a half before that. So when I transitioned into transaction advisory, I was just sitting around doing some HR stuff for maybe like a week and a half, 2. And next thing I know, I was on a full deal, and it was like, all right, this needs to be done in 2-3 weeks. So it's very, very cyclical in the sense that you're either like not doing anything, or you're really, really, really busy. So just understand that before you maybe go into it full time, is that if you're maybe more of a type of person that likes knowing where they're going to be, what they're going to be doing, I don't even know what the right word is, likes more, like in audit, for example, exactly, like you're going to be on an audit from, March 1st through March 30th, and you're going to go here and you're going to work from home and this and that. In transaction advisory, so much different. You can be, especially now that, we're kind of out of the whole pandemic, People are traveling a lot more. So you can be literally at home on a Monday. Next thing you know, on Tuesday, Wednesday, you got to be on a flight to, Kentucky or wherever. So I've seen that happen a lot. So if you can handle that cyclical, lifestyle and be able to fly on a whim and just say, hey, I need to go here, I need to go there, it might be a good option for you. I knew, me, I was single and not married at the time, no kids. I didn't have any other responsibilities other than my job. So it was great for me. I couldn't wait to travel. I freaking loved traveling for work. So it was good for me, but maybe if you like more stability, maybe it's not the right move for you. And honestly, last thing I'm going to say is that, in your career is so long, guys. Like, oh gosh, I'm so guilty of this myself, is that sometimes I feel like I need to be a partner today, or I need to be this guy today. And I think about my career, and I'm 30 years old and I've been working for 8 years. I started really young, but that being said, I have another 40 years left. Literally, I say this all the time on this channel. What am I going to do? Chill on a beach and drink margaritas? That's not life. That's cool for 3 days, but that gets very, 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 I'm a terrible vacationer. That's a total other topic. I'll make a whole nother video on that, but I'm so bad at that. So, that being said, your career is so long, guys. Take chances on yourself, take opportunities, do things, learn, develop. Don't feel like you need to have it all figured out at 25, 27, 30. Careers are so long. Give yourself a little bit of grace. Give yourself the opportunity to try new things, because the worst that's going to happen is you're going to gain a new skill set, learn a new opportunity, and learn that, hey, you know what? Maybe it wasn't for me. I'm telling you guys, I met so many partners, CFOs in my career that, did different things and tried something for a year and found out that wasn't for them, but learned that through that process, they became a better overall financial professional. So if it's something that you're thinking about, or maybe something that you're looking into, again, my recommendation, if you're in audit, I think starting an audit is probably the best place, but transitioning should be very easy after 2 to 3 years, especially if you know debits and credits, if you know your Excel skills. And it's just, in my opinion, even if you can do a rotation, do a rotation. But if you want to try it, I think there's nothing wrong with you trying it out and seeing what you can do, because at the end of the day, what I think it's going to do for you is going to make you a better overall financial, I can't even say a better overall financial professional like it made me. So if it's something you're interested, definitely look into it. All right, guys, that's going to be it for the video today. If you found value in the video, please make sure to hit the like button below. And also, guys, don't forget to add me on any social media platform you use. And you know what it is. Until next time, work hard, dress well, peace.